Hello interweb fans, Kevin Ridgway back here to talk about a book that I really love. It's called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. If you've not heard of Austin, he's an artist living in Texas who's written a few books for artists. You may have heard of his book for artists just starting their career called Steal Like an Artist, which I would offer is for anyone embarking on creative endeavors. It was a New York Times bestseller and has over 500,000 copies in print. But I'm not going to talk about that book. I'm here to talk about Show Your Work. First, let me talk about entering into the field of software engineering. So, a person is presumably interested in these newfangled computers and perhaps is thinking this internet thing isn't such a fad after all. Perhaps you decide to go get a 4-year degree or go to a boot camp or just teach yourself using the internet with something like YouTube. But if you really want your career to take off and to get noticed by recruiters, you have to show your work. Given is getting your own domain and creating an online portfolio, and I think that's fairly common knowledge in the software engineering world. But once you have that site, how do you get people to it? You have to show up, and you have to be an amateur, open up your cabinet of curiosities, and teach what you know. It took me a long time to learn this first point of be an amateur. When I started my career as a software engineer, I was terrified of making mistakes. And boy did I make them. Probably all of them. From talking down to people in code reviews, to being quick to take credit for something or spending too much time on a piece of code because I thought it had to be perfect. All cringeworthy behavior and classic beginner mistakes. Those kinds of behaviors are driven by fear that you'll be seen as an amateur. But the real freedom you'll find is embracing being an amateur. Show the world what you're interested in and learn it in front of them, like making YouTube videos. Austin further says they take chances, experiment, and follow their whims. That's what amateurs do. Be okay with the unknown and learn with the others. Number 2, open up your cabinet of curiosities. This is one of my favorites. Austin talks about this in the book as open up your cabinet of curiosities. And that particular phrase makes you think of the Harry Potter movies, where before each semester they have to go and get supplies, and there are all these odd old cabinets with potions and all kinds of things in them. Bringing it back to the software engineering world for a second. I think back to Paul Graham a lot when I hear this phrase, because he writes a lot about curiosity in his essays, but one in particular comes to mind. In his essay called What You Wish You'd Known was intended for a high school, he talks a lot about curiosity, why you need to cultivate it and follow it to see where it leads. Check out his whole essay. I have a link in the description. It's worth the read. The reason I mention it is because in Austin's books, he makes the point that writers he knows consider themselves curators. So be a curator. Take your things, create your cabinet of curiosity, show people what you're interested in. Number 3, teach what you know. What I do mean is if you learn something new today, you can teach that something to someone else today. You don't have to be an expert. Did you figure out something about how web browsers work? Did you get over a hump of trying to center a div? Did you learn a new feature in a programming language like Rust, Scala, Java, or Python? These are things you can take right now and create a blog post. Tweet about it, okay, or maybe thread about it, or Mastodon about it. Message a coworker about it. Let them know what you learned today. Even these simple things can help someone out today. You don't have to be a 20-year expert on a subject to feel like you're qualified to teach something. That's not how learning works in software engineering. Let me give you an example. I worked at a company that used Jenkins, a popular open source automation server that helps build and deploy software. I had the task of taking some third-party library, checking if it was updated somewhere on the internet, and then pulling it into our code base. And I wanted to automate that. I don't want to have to manually do this every so often or have someone else do it. I had an idea this could be done, and I knew it would save me and my team a lot of time in the end, but I didn't know the exact steps to doing it. So what did I do? I dug in. I looked up documentation. And then I found out all these interesting things, like our build scripts on Jenkins use Groovy, a programming language that I hadn't written in before. Huh, interesting. I had to figure out how things worked in Groovy land to get this automation to work. I knew most of my team hadn't really done a lot in that language, so I wrote some documentation on how to talk to the GitHub API using Groovy, and some other things on how to do this in a Groovy script to commit code in GitHub, etc., right? It was a fun learning experience. That documentation I wrote was the teaching. I was helping others, and that's the great part. Not only am I cementing what I learned myself, but I'm showing my work, showing how someone else can also do this. In my software engineering career, there has been thousands of these examples, writing documentation, showing other teammates how to do something, presenting to large groups on a new technology. Teaching what you know can be about something you just learned. That's the magical part. You don't have to be a quote-unquote expert to teach what you know. So that's it, folks. That's the video. Be an amateur, open up your cabinet of curiosities, teach what you know. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe, and if you're interested in reading Austin's book in its entirety, I included a link in the description. Be sure to stay tuned. The channel's gathering a little steam. I have some more videos in the hopper. Come back and see us now, you hear?